Welcome back. In the last video we have discussed the device structure for the CIGS technology. In this video lecture we will discuss the processing of CIGS materials, solar cells and the interconnection in thin film PV modules. In contrast to the thin film silicon technology discussed earlier, CIGS films can be deposited using a variety of deposition technology. As many of these activities are developed within companies, not much detailed information is available on many of these processing techniques. The first method to deposit a CIGS layer we will discuss is called three-stage co-evaporation. Essentially, all the required atoms are evaporated in a single process in three different stages. This graph shows the growth rates of the metals on the left-hand y-axis and the selenium rate on the right-hand y-axis versus time of the three-stage co-evaporation process. Prior to the first stage, the rates are ramped up to the required levels. In the first stage, a layer of indium, gallium and selenium is evaporated in the required ratios at a temperature of approximately 400 degrees Celsius. In the second stage, the temperature is ramped up to about 550 degrees Celsius, while both the indium and gallium evaporation is stopped and the copper rate is increased. The second stage will initiate crystal growth of CIGS as copper will blend into the porous first layer of indium, gallium and selenium. In the third stage, again, a layer of indium and gallium is evaporated in the required ratio while the copper evaporation is stopped. This leaves a relatively copper-poor film on top of the stack, which is favorable for the CIGS crystal formation and improves the interface quality with the buffer layer that is deposited on top, as we will see in a minute. In this way, a polycrystalline film is obtained, which means a layer with crystals of various sizes in various orientations. While the three-stage process is capable of delivering a very high grade of CIGS layer, the industry prefers a fast and sequential process rather than one relatively long process. The second production method is called the two-step precursor and salinization process. Here, copper indium gallium or CIG layer is putted on the substrate as a first step, while the selenium atoms are included in a salinization process with hydrogen selenide gas, which is a very toxic ore by selenium vapor. This method is adopted by the Japanese company Solar Frontier, a market leader in this field, and they have reached a conversion efficiencies larger than 22% with this two-step process. We have discussed two different deposition approaches and discussed the traditional cell structure. Now we will show how cells are most commonly interconnected in thin film solar modules by means of monolithic integration. Usually, separate solar cells in lateral direction are made by scribing the layers, most often by using an absorbing laser. The molybdenum back contact receives the first laser scribe prior to the CIGS deposition step. A second laser scribe is performed after the CIGS deposition, followed by the cadmium sulfide buffer layer and the zinc oxide TCO layer. A third laser scribe divides the material into cells of the right size, while the connection between the front TCO layer of the first cell and the back contact of the second solar cell is located here. The current can then flow through the interconnection as is shown here. One can clearly see that some of the cell's area is lost by the laser scribe and the interconnection. The aperture area is defined as the effective area that operates as a solar cell, highlighted with the blue box here. The aperture area is clearly smaller than the total cell area. The monolithic interconnection results in a small loss in solar cell area utilization. The classical device architecture we have discussed here includes a cadmium sulfide buffer layer. As cadmium is a relatively toxic element, new concepts have been explored to replace the cadmium sulfide buffer layers with alternatives. This overview shows on the left-hand side the traditional cell structure, along with many alternative structures. Some of the cadmium-free cells can even have higher conversion efficiencies than the traditional cell with the cadmium sulfide buffer layer. However, cadmium is not the only element that causes upscaling troubles for the CIGS technology. We can see from this graph that indium is a relatively rare element in the Earth's crust. This element is already being used extensively in, for instance, the display industry, so it has been foreseen that this element may limit the upscaling of the CIGS industry. For this reason, research has been carried out on the so-called casterite semiconductors instead of the chalcocenides such as CIGS. Examples of casterite semiconductor compounds are copper, zinc, tin sulfide, copper, zinc, tin selenide, or a combination of both. The highest conversion efficiency of a cell based on this non-toxic and abundant semiconductor material is still significantly smaller than that of the traditional CIGS solar cells. In these two video lectures we have discussed the optoelectrical properties of CIGS materials and the typical cell architectures used for the CIGS PV technology. The mainstream processing methods for CIGS layers have been discussed. The monolithic integration to interconnect the individual solar cells in a thin film PV module were introduced as well. Finally, alternative cell structures have been presented as well. In the next video, we will discuss another chalcocenides PV technology, cadmium telluride. So see you in the next video.